Friends, we are back.
We're here.
Welcome back to Common Ground Morning Show. Morning show about meeting in the middle. Right, Rach?
You know, the copy sounds good.
It is. You did a great job. Anyway, if this is your first time here, or
Weird.
if it's been, maybe not. I don't know. I won't say weird because
Ow.
you all right?
Yeah, I'm just hitting myself.
What'd you do?
Hit myself on my little side table.
Okay, guys. Well, anyway, we had a 3-month hiatus. I don't know if you heard, but we had a baby. So
He's here.
He's in studio with us, currently sleeping. But
Stay
we'll
tuned.
see. But we took 3 months off.
We did.
And we're back with episode 1 of season 3. We do seasons with this podcast.
It's wild to me we've been doing it this long.
Yeah, well, we should introduce ourselves real quick.
Sure.
Formally. Yeah, so I'm Alex Gettlin.
I'm Rachel LaForce.
We are comedians
We're married.
to each other,
This is true.
and we do this podcast every Monday live at 10 a.m. So if you're just listening to the audio version, if you're watching a clip, you can always chime in with us 10 a.m. Pacific time every Monday
Yep.
on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, all the spots.
All the places.
But yeah, so you were saying it's weird that we've been doing this so long. Is that what you said?
Yeah, I mean, that's good. I think because of the pandemic, like it feels like time stopped, but simultaneously like didn't. Like it's such a weird wrap your head around this time space. Like when you were just logging into Facebook and there was a show that we had produced and it was like what you did 2 years ago. And I'm like, that show was 2 years ago
I know, right?
because it was in November and then, almost right away then pandemic.
Yeah, it's Facebook doesn't do this as much anymore. But do you remember when it used to do things where it's like you haven't said hi to so and so in a while? Check in on them. And there was a comedian, I don't remember who, so I apologize. But their joke was that like their dad died, and then Facebook kept telling them to like reconnect with their dad, and it's like I tried, I ran out of time.
Yeah. All the bits.
Yeah, but the biggest news for us,
There's a baby here now.
yeah, we have a new member. Because here's how shows typically.
We have a new member.
Yeah. Well, how shows typically work, right? Like season 1, you start the thing. Season 2, you changed locations, which we did. We moved into our own personal studio for season 2.
That's true.
Season 3, we added a new cast member.
This is true, which means by season 5, we're going to jump the shark. So we're just going to be doing this podcast from like, a back alley or something.
Well, we don't have enough time today to get into the full long story, but why don't you just give the folks like a 5-minute recap of pregnant, because, we ended.
Well, they saw me all through the pregnancy, so I feel like they're caught up.
No, I know. Our last episode, though, was like right before you gave birth. So
Right.
what I was going to say is like, why don't you recap our loyal listeners and viewers and friends on your birthing experience, like the condensed
How
version.
much time do you have? Guys, I don't know if you like stories of trauma. No, I mean, it all ended up being good, but it was, I don't know, man. Birth is wild.
Yeah.
So much, in fact, that I'm like, I still don't even know, like, what parts of it I want to talk about. Like, what part, like, it's crazy. Like, the fact, like, sometimes I look at him and I'm like, you were inside me. Like, I can't, like, that's a true sci-fi film,
Do you ever feel that way about me? That's very crass. I'm sorry, but the joke was there.
Oh, that's good. Well, that seems to actually make more sense to me than this one. But yeah,
it is like science fiction.
it is. Like every time I look at it, I'm like, dude, I just like made you.
Yeah.
That's wild to me.
It is.
Absolutely wild. I'd make more jokes about it, but I feel like they've all been made.
It is, and the thing that is, like what makes us human uniquely, we think.
I thought you were gonna be like, what makes us special?
Yeah. No, us as humans, what makes us uniquely human is consciousness, right? So then it's like you can't really pinpoint where does it live and when does it arrive?
In my heart.
But you know what I mean? Like, because you can.
Like having him? Is that what you're saying? Like when did he become conscious?
No, like you are conscious that yeah, sort of, but like you are conscious that you are Rachel LaForce, right? That is what makes you uniquely. Maybe you're not. I don't know.
I was gonna say like these are the conversations that give me so much existential anxiety.
Yeah.
I told you that I took a philosophy class when I was 18 and I dropped out because
Yeah.
it was giving me too much anxiety.
I'm not surprised. That's this. I know.
True story.
And I hear that and I'm like, this is dope, dude. I like it. Like that's how we differ, right? You hear that, you're like, I'm overwhelmed, and I'm like, let's get weird.
Yeah, but then why aren't you like mock me for I mean jokingly but also not really for just some of my like spiritual beliefs and things I talk about. It's the same thing.
No,
The
but
idea of like where does your consciousness live? That's all of it of like how do you connect to your this is how not how I thought we were going to start season 3, but here we are. Like how do you connect to your consciousness? That's
yeah.
all meditation
No,
is.
no, no, no. I more laugh at like, the astrology stuff. But that's a very normal a lot of people are into the cosmos. In fact, this morning I was at the gym and I was chatting up the gals that trained me there, and I was showing them a little video of Jonah and how he's so smiley and talkative.
And I asked what a sign was.
Well, they're like, well, when was he born again? I said July, and then right away, this gal, she's like, water sign.
Yeah, he's a Cancer.
Right? She's
Yeah.
like, oh, he's pretty emotional, Cancer. Yep. Like, that's the stuff you say too.
No, I know. But I don't say it to other people.
Well,
I want people to like me. Do you know what I mean? Do you
Yeah.
know the amount of things that I want to say that I don't because I'm like, I want people to like me.
Well,
I'm not going to say that thing out loud because I know that it's a crazy person thing to say.
I mean, the way that regular ass basic white women will just throw in astrology talk is the way that like bros throw crypto talk into
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah.
I'm not the first person to say this, but it's
Yeah.
like that's our things, or dudes who are like really into sports.
Yeah.
Speaking of sports, let's transition. Unless
Yep.
you want to finish talking about birth more.
No, anyway, it was wild. It was crazy. It was 24 hours. I was visited by spirit guides. True story. I apparently am a bear person. I've given birth before, and it was a very, very intense experience on my body. And this tiny Indigenous woman walked me through it in the wee hours of the morning until I was finally in so much pain that I called for an epidural, and I've never been so excited to see Dr. Kim.
Just to clarify for the listeners, in your mind, you saw an Indigenous woman. It wasn't our nurse. Was
Correct.
Not, yeah, just to specify.
Yeah.
Speaking
But
of,
I will say, I feel like those nurses were also my spirit guides because they were sent here to take care of me.
by the way, today is Indigenous Persons Day
Oh, yeah, it is.
and National Coming Out Day. They put them on the same day. So if you were an
Can't
Indigenous,
even have their own days.
I know, right? So if you were an Indigenous person that wants to come out today, today's your
Today
day.
is your day.
Double day.
Wow.
Used to be Columbus Day. We rebranded it, which that I'm fine with. Like some stuff in the name of wokeness and progressiveness, I find obnoxious. This is not one of those.
Well, Indigenous people, like this is the land of Indigenous people.
Yeah.
That's. I mean, there's no argument there for me. I'm like 100%.
yeah.
We need to recognize it differently.
Well,
And also, like Columbus, like talk about a fuckboy. What an idiot. He's just like, yeah, I'm gonna like get a ship and I'm gonna go. Like he didn't even know. He just called everybody Indians because he thought he made it to India. What a
Right.
moron. Not even close,
I know.
dog.
That is fun.
Not even close.
Do you know why Columbus became so popular in like the American zeitgeist?
Why, because we like train wrecks.
Well, that could be part of it. No, he wasn't really relevant in like the, cultural narrative of the country. But then I don't remember the exact time period, but sometime in the early 1900s, there were a lot of Italian immigrants coming to the U.S. and those folks at the time were very persecuted against, similar to the
Yeah.
Irish at that time. And so they were like, not anymore really, but then second-class citizens.
Right.
And then there was an author, I don't remember who, but he put out a popular book about the journeys of Columbus, and it was like really successful. And they were like, yeah, he's Italian, he's our guy. And so the Italian community basically rallied to make Columbus Day a national holiday so they could have a hero from their culture.
Is that a drunk history episode?
Probably.
I feel like it's gotta be.
I've learned that it's like one of those like internet things that people learn about. But it's interesting because I don't know how all this panned out, but he is Italian in descent, or was, but
Columbus or the author?
probably both, but Columbus
Okay.
for sure. But he sailed on behalf of the Spanish. So he left Spain under like
Traitor. That's what it is.
the guise of the Queen, I guess, to conquer land and what all the Europeans were doing back then.
I mean, what a great excuse to leave like your family. Is to be an explorer. You know, babe,
Right.
I'm not leaving you and the kids. I'm exploring, okay? I'm finding new lands.
So what we know about how barbaric Columbus was is I guess there was a priest. There were probably several priests that were with him, but there was at least one that like documented all of his journeys, and he like kept really detailed records of like from a priest perspective, like, dude, this guy needs God. Like this guy, I can't help him.
I also love that they sent a priest with him.
Well, I guess they were gonna spread Catholicism, and they figured, yeah, we're gonna come.
Oh,
You know what I mean? Like,
of course.
you know,
Always an agenda.
yeah, of course. Yeah, they weren't there just like on vacation.
Well, that's the thing about expansion and all this. And I've got that bit about the founding fathers.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, I don't know why we give people from the past so much credit. I'm like, think about the amount of people that that are like doing things in like the name of something good.
Sure.
And then you're like, oh, lo and behold, like Fauci knew about COVID the whole time. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, we need to just take a little bit more time
Right.
before like just like, like giving like triumph
Mm-hmm.
to people. I didn't know them.
Well,
I don't know them.
The other thing is, stop making people these infallible heroes. Humans have flaws. Even people who are incredible, saints through history, they have a lot of problems. Like Dr. King is a great example. One of the most important civil rights leaders of all time. Huge philanderer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like
Also domestic violence.
So, people are complicated, man.
But isn't that the other thing where it's like, I don't know why we have like such a problem with like nuance. Like all we have are examples.
I can tell you why.
I know, but all we have around us all the time are examples that things can be multiple things at once, right? Like fall, for instance. Stay with me.
Yeah.
Right? Beautiful, beautiful time. Lots of foliage, things like that. But at the same time, it's because everything is dying, right? Like even in nature around us, sometimes
yeah.
like things can be multiple things at one time. We have so many examples. Like if you're a faith-driven person, right? Like God literally provided so many examples for us to be like, hey, morons, like things are complicated. We're like, nope, it should be black or white. It should be black or white. Like what idiots?
Yeah, that's, it's so, you're so right, dude. Well, and it's also, I'm not an anti-spiritual, I'm like spiritual adjacent, like I don't have strong feelings towards it, but I'm just saying it's interesting to me of any faith if they take the Bible, anyone's Bible, if they take it literally word for word, because they've all been passed on like orally for hundreds, if not thousands of years, and then eventually somebody wrote it down. So it's like, guys, come on. I mean,
oh, I had a bit about that where I was like, this is just the Bible got written as like a giant game of telephone. Like why anyone's like, well, I don't eat pork. I'm like, what if it wasn't pork? What if he just couldn't remember what he said? He was like, I don't know, make something up.
I never really knew what to do with it, but I had a bit if we could go back in time and like, what if you found out like the Bible is just like some dude's like fan fiction, and he was like, oh, this was not meant to be taken like. I was working on a project, guys. Yeah. Like I didn't know you were gonna think this was real. Come on.
But I don't know. I feel like
parted the sea. Have you seen a person part the sea, dude? No, come on, nobody can do that.
That's so funny. Everyone's like, I did not.
Like if somebody in like 1,000 years found Harry Potter and they're like, wow, what was going on in the 2000s?
That's funny. Yeah, but that or like Scientology. Like I feel like there's just so many things in our. I don't know. I only within the last, honestly, probably 18 hours, I've had this huge sense of like.
It was recent.
That's what I'm saying. Where I don't know, because I like all of a sudden I was just like, we're just gonna play for a while. Like I feel like I've been taking things so seriously.
Like you with your kind of creative endeavors?
Just my life. Just all of it.
Yeah.
Like I think
having a baby's hard.
Having a baby is the most, thank God it's the most emotionally and spiritually gratifying thing we've ever done. Jokes, I'm joking.
Because, I mean, even for the two of us, that I'd say we're pretty balanced, well-rounded people.
Pretty high functioning, yeah.
Yeah. And we both work at home mostly right now, and we have a good trade-off system. And it's still like, I'm like, people do this who are single.
I've had to like gate myself because the few times that I've gotten out and like seen people that I haven't seen, and they're like, "Oh my God, how are you?" And they think I'm gonna be like, "Oh my God, it's just like snuggles and love," and "Oh my God, oh, I love being a mom." And I find myself being like, "I'm really exhausted. I'm tired. I don't know how it's going." And I'm like, I don't want people to like worry about me, But I also feel like people should tell the truth.
Yeah.
Like, yes, it's beautiful. And yes, it's all those things. But also, like, there's nothing that is incredibly gratifying that's not also, like, incredibly hard.
Totally. But
being super hot, really hard. Think Think about it. Like, you got to go to the gym. You got to just eat like fish
Yeah.
and broccoli and like, you know what I mean? Like
gotta
nobody's having fun getting hot, you know?
I think if you're really rich, maybe if you can pay for it to be done in like a bougie ass way. But what I was gonna say is like think about like we were so excited to have our son and it was a blessing, but a lot of people have kids on accident.
Yeah.
Think about it, kids they didn't want or they just had it because they're like, oh, it'll save my marriage or whatever, right?
Which, PSA.
It's terrible.
If you think having a baby is going to save anything, you're wrong. Okay?
But it's just
if you're looking to go cuckoo bananas, you know, if you're like, I've got too much free time, feel like I need something else.
But I'm just thinking about like
Couldn't tell if he's waking up. He's moving around.
whole fuss if he might make an appearance on camera if Rachel needs to.
Yeah, stay tuned.
Yeah, but anyway, so listen, if you guys aren't familiar, or maybe you do remember, what we do on this show a lot is talk about current events, news, things in the culture. And since we had so much time off, I figured it would be great for us to recap.
Wasn't time off, we just weren't here. But
Right.
yes, keep it moving.
Time off from the podcast.
Sure.
Time off, excuse me, learning how to be parents.
Yep.
And not sleeping very much. And traveling, seeing family. That was important. He got to meet his great grandparents, which is very beautiful.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I picked 10 headlines, 10 kind of, news events that occurred when we were on the hiatus in the pod. Some are like more silly. Some are a little bit like, oh God, I remember that. So we're going to run through those. Rach, just give me your kind of like first reaction to these as I read them off one at a time. Okay. We can riff on.
I feel like this should come with a trigger warning because I feel like you're asking us if these ridiculous news stories all over again.
Wait, before I do that, I want to shout out people who are watching us right now just so I can say hi to them. So shout out to Sue Painter. She says, hi, guys, cuckoo bananas. And shout out to John Odom for, chiming in. Thank you, guys. So we do stream this live, as I mentioned. So I like to, make sure I say hi to my, or our, rather, viewers and listeners. So thank you guys for that. Okay. So we're going to jump up. Is he fussing? This is a new experience for us, learning how to do a pod with baby. So just bear with us as we do this. Okay. Do you need a second? It's okay if you do.
I think we're good.
Okay. All right. Story number 1. On July 11th, Richard Branson enters space, followed by Jeff Bezos on July 20th, officially kicking off the billionaire space race.
Farcical?
I mean, the funny
that sounds like a farce to me. Also, billionaire space race?
Yeah.
Yeah, kill yourself. Is that an okay thing to say? Not that suicide is funny. Hashtag mental health awareness day was yesterday. Yeah. That's just insane. It's insane. Also, the fact that was July is like mind-boggling to me.
I mean, it is funny because I remember people making fun of how expensive it was and like these idiots, whatever. And then other people were like, oh, would you have mocked the Wright brothers for all the money they spent to fly? And it's like, who
said that?
People on Twitter.
Okay, well, I want to go to their house, and just hit him over the head with a tire iron. What kind of thing is that to say? You know the difference. Don't be stupid.
But also,
that feels like a kid in a classroom who raises their hand to say something silly. I'd be like, come on, you know the difference. Don't be stupid.
But also, NASA went to space like 70 years ago or something?
Yeah, I don't do math, but
maybe 60 years ago. Anyway, long enough ago. Okay. How's he doing?
He's good. Keep going.
Okay. July 24th, on her 52nd birthday, J-Lo posts a photo to her Instagram of her and Ben Affleck sharing a kiss, officially solidifying the return of Bennifer.
Dude, people lost their mind.
I know.
I did not know the power of the unifier amongst people that is Bennifer.
Also,
I'm not kidding. The internet lost their mind.
I remember. Well, I think it's because it's so rare that a celebrity couple breaks up and gets back together.
But here's the other thing. It was every girl who's into like men that are unattainable that were like, because that was my thing. And they're all like, see, like sometimes like there is the one who got away. And I'm like, no, both of these people are still emotionally unstable.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
Like Ben Affleck is a philanderer. Philanderer? There you go.
He's a philanthropist?
Also has issues with alcohol, which is fine. Again, we're all...
He's in recovery, I believe.
We're all dynamic. It's not to say that he's like a terrible person. I'm just saying like clearly he has issues with intimacy, okay? Yeah. She's been through how many relationships? She clearly is somebody who's like, there's something about her that's like, if I'm not
Remember when
with
she
somebody else, then I'm not whole, right?
remember when she dated her backup singer?
Yeah. Oh, I posted all about. I have like a huge story where I did like the inner like energy reads of all the relationships of Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez. I've never had a story with more engagement than when I talked about Bennifer. I'm
God,
not kidding you.
I believe you, but it's like that's kind of sad.
I mean, hundreds of DMs.
Well, I think it's so funny the way you responded after she and Shakira did the Super Bowl, and people are like, "Wow, for a woman in her 50s, she looks incredible." And it's like, yeah, if you're like a multi-millionaire and you can pay for full-time top care,
yeah,
like
that was just shocking to me.
I mean, of course she looks amazing in her 50s. Like,
Well, that was something somebody posted all the pictures of the Kardashians before and after, and then the caption just said, "You're just poor."
that's funny.
You know, where it's like, yeah, you could be insanely hot too. You're just poor.
That's so funny. All right. This is a big one. I know. I remember this. You had a lot of opinions in this one. Hit
Okay.
July 27th. Simone Biles withdraws from the Summer Olympics to focus on mental well-being, and in response, the internet collectively turns into experts on both gymnastics and mental health overnight.
I mean, first of all, if we're going to pretend to be experts on anything, at least it's like mental health and not, you know, the crisis between Israel and Palestine,
Sure,
you know, or my friends who are just, you know, like YouTube, like collegiate, you know, idiots.
Right.
And they were just like, no, suddenly I know everything about it. I'm like, oh, you mean like 100-year, you know, talk about something that's like nuanced and intricate.
Right.
So at least there was some real focus on mental health. I also just think that, like, I don't know. I think moves like that are a 10 out of 10. See what I did there? No, but I really do, for the fact that, like, she was in the Olympics. I
Yeah.
just feel like there's so many things that we all push ourselves through and struggle through that we shouldn't, because we feel like, well, we've made the commitment. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's a slippery slope that, you know, where it's like, oh, if you made the commitment, then you have to finish it. Like, yes,
Well, and
that's true to a
also-
certain extent, but also sometimes it's like, sometimes you just can't. And there is something to being like, I'm done, I need a break or whatever. So I don't know. I thought it was like a pretty badass move.
Yeah, I thought it was really ridiculous that some people, and there were some like pretty prominent internet personalities, like professional commentator podcasters, who were like, "She is embarrassing America. This is a shame."
Oh, she's embarrassing America.
and
You guys like voted for Trump. You made Trump our president.
Well, it's also it's not like
Simone Biles is not letting down America,
Yeah,
you fools.
well, the thing is, it's like if she got caught using steroids, you could maybe make that argument. She just said, "Hey, I'm not in the right headspace." And also knowing her background now, dude, it's amazing she overcame the trauma that she
Wait,
did.
what's her background? What do you mean?
Wasn't she abused by Larry Nassar?
Oh yeah, she was one of the many.
That's what I'm saying. So to overcome that, just psychologically, and then become a gold medal. She's won gold medals before.
And also, like, what a badass. It's her. I mean, there's
Allie
so
Reisman,
It's so
yeah.
well. I mean, there's just so many female athletes, specifically like female athletes of color,
Mhm.
that yeah, we're like, yeah, I'm tired. I'm taking a nap,
Sure.
and I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, dude. And also, like, you can only be the best at what you do, and go, yeah, I'm gonna take a nap. Peace.
Right.
Like, that's to me phenomenal. But it's also the great example, I talk about this all the time, of where it's like you can be incredibly high functioning and also like be depressed
Oh yeah.
and be sad,
Well,
or
dude, look at
be like, I think a lot of the reason why, in addition to the millions of other things, why we as a society have really struggled with talking about mental health
Yeah.
is because you can be, and not even like, you're not like wearing a mask or anything like that, but you can just be incredibly high functioning. I was incredibly high functioning for somebody who was blacking out all the time and drinking too
Sure.
much,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, on that note about like you could be incredibly high functioning and be depressed, is like think about like Anthony Bourdain. I mean, that guy, first of all, what an incredible chef, storyteller, right? And also lived a life that I personally fantasize about, to
Sure.
like travel the world, meeting the most incredible people on earth, trying decadent food. And then it, but that just goes to show you that I don't really understand depression. Like I theoretically get it, but I've never experienced anything other than like sadness from like a specific thing in my life that may bum me out for a couple weeks. So I don't really get what's so funny.
No, you've had a very,
I've had a cush life.
you've
I know.
had a very charmed life.
I know. Eventually, I will experience some sort of tragedy. It's at some point, and I don't know. I mean, even like when my parents pass away at some point, like,
Oh.
I mean, hopefully not for a while, but I'm just saying I've never, even my grandparents, I wasn't that close with them. So, I mean, obviously I wasn't happy when they passed away or anything, but it was kind of like, well, they were old and that's what happens. And I think part of it is because my brother and I, we were the last grandchildren to arrive for both sides of the grandparents. So like by the time we came around, it was like, yeah, hi, but we've had grandkids for years. So
Sure.
anyway.
Okay, so Alex Gettlin isn't depressed. That's what we learned. Okay, what's then?
Okay.
Yep.
Next, July 28th. After 24 seasons on PBS, children's cartoon Arthur comes to an end.
Couldn't even believe it was like new episodes for 24 seasons.
I know.
I've thought for the last 15 years that we've just been watching reruns. Had no idea that people have been like coming up with narratives
for
for Arthur and his family.
Yeah. Well, dude,
Does anybody know what his sister DW's name stands for? Can you Google that for me?
I'll Google it. Also, I found out this morning that there are 51 seasons of Sesame Street. Can you believe that?
Now that I can, but because it's still going, right?
Yeah,
Or
I watched some of it with our son this morning. It's on HBO.
Oh, okay. There you go.
So DW Reed, Dora Winifred.
Okay, Winifred.
Dora
Okay.
Winifred. So there we go. Now you guys know. So when you're a dad, you gotta, and when you're a parent rather, you spend time with your kids, you watch shows. So there's a couple shows Jonah's been. I mean, he's 3 months, but there's some shows that's captured his attention. The first one we tried is Cocomelon. I think I'm done on Cocomelon. I can't. It's not for me. If you have Netflix, check it out. It's all the hits. You guys know Wheels on the Bus, Old MacDonald, Twinkle Twinkle.
To me, if they're for sure like subliminal messaging in Cocomelon.
Yeah.
What like if you wanted to like Russia, they're really trying to like tear us apart. If they really wanted to, there's some wacky stuff in that show.
Yeah. By the way, our friend John Lee Odom says he couldn't believe there were 24 seasons either of Arthur.
Yeah.
But then we started watching some Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. That one, at least there's some sort of like a narrative there, right? Like, the kind of premise of the show is you go to Mickey Mouse's clubhouse and him and Goofy and everybody is like, wait, we have to figure out which one of these blocks is red. And then, so there's like he's learning something.
Sure.
Then this morning I put on Sesame Street and I can tell you, of the 3 kid shows, hands down, best one for sure. There's actual adult humans in the show. So I'm like, okay, there's something I can like kind of relate to. And just the like, they had a whole thing this morning where Elmo and some other I also realized this is good on Sesame Street. They've added I mean they're all like Muppet characters, but they're more ethnically leaning. So Elmo's friend I think was named like Rita, and she clearly had like a Latin sounding type accent.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's Julia, and Julia is a special needs Sesame Street character.
Mm-hmm.
You've heard about this,
Mm-hmm.
right? But they were like learning how like ramps work, and they were like Elmo and Rita were doing like a ball race, and I was like, oh, this is actually like this is good for kids to see, like, So hey, Sesame Street, shout out, Okay, enough of that. That is Arthur. All right, number 5. On August 10th, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo resigns amid growing allegations of sexual harassment.
Bye-bye.
One and done.
Yep.
Well, you know what I thought was interesting is remember in the beginning of the pandemic, he was like the hero of all this. It was like Cuomo's stepping up. He's locking down New York. He was being talked about as like he was going to run for president next election cycle. And then turns out, dude's got problems.
Well, yeah, of course you want to lock it down. He has control issues. You know what I mean? He likes to control things. So just saying.
Yeah. Okay. August 17th, Amazon eclipses Walmart to officially become the world's largest retail seller outside of China.
Wait, what does that mean?
Like, except for within the country of China, I guess Amazon is the biggest retailer in the world. Second to, like, Walmart's behind it.
Second to a country.
I'm saying that inside of China, there are companies that are retailers, and they are big. Like their overall retail size, I suppose, is the biggest like on the planet. Second to that is Amazon, and it was Walmart, and then Amazon just became the biggest.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. Of like Amazon as a retailer, the only thing that is slightly smaller than Amazon is a country?
No,
That's insane.
no. Oh, he's having. You want to hold him?
No, he's fine.
Okay. I think what it's saying is that there's like an Amazon of China, and in like that, I don't know what it's called, but like in that like country, like they're bigger. Anyway, that was what the headline said. The point is,
Whoever is listening to this while driving, they just like drove into an embankment. They're like, "Ooh." Anyway, Amazon's huge. Shocker.
The point
you know
is,
what I mean?
on August 17th, Amazon eclipsed Walmart.
I also just can't figure out. Maybe there's a joke in here somewhere where I'm like, maybe I'm just too much of a people pleaser. Like, I don't understand how Amazon wasn't like, yeah, we probably should just like give people more money so that people like us more.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
You know, I saw
like I just there is no, and I know I've listened to all the, right wing commentators and they're like, well, you can't pay people more because then blah blah blah, whatever, have a seat. But yes, you can. There's absolutely no reason financially why Amazon could not pay their, drivers and like entry level jobs at $20 an hour. There's literally no reason why.
I'll tell you exactly why. It's because no, I'm not for it from an
It's
ethical.
fine. It was 3 months off. I deserve it. Go ahead.
Because this is the kind of excuse me. And I'll preface by saying I love capitalism when it's done.
It's a great way to preface it, honey.
When it's done appropriately, not in like a malicious
Like Amazon.
Right. No, not like Amazon. I like capitalism when it's like just, retailer to customer, fair use of money, right?
Sure.
The problem is with these companies, they have a legal responsibility, a fiduciary. They're legally, fiduciarily, I believe is the term,
Yep.
required to earn their shareholders more money every year. So because of that, they're constant, and also they're just fucking greedy. So they're just constantly trying to maximize profits. There's never a number you hit where like, okay, we made enough money.
I mean, I understand that, but like, that's insane.
Of course, it's not a sustainable system.
I know. I mean, I understand. That's why I started the whole thing by saying I understand all of the right wing where it's that answer.
Yeah.
I understand that. But there's no logical reason why. It's not like the infrastructure of the company where they're like, we just don't have the funds.
I get it. You know what else I read this morning, which is like really disgusting? So, Amazon owns Whole Foods now. Whole Foods is cutting their employee breaks from 15 minutes to 10 minutes.
That's insane.
You get like not the lunch break, but you get like you're still paid on the clock.
Yeah.
Like you're like just take a break and smoke a
Yeah.
cigarette, use the bathroom, whatever. They can't give him 15 minutes.
So stupid.
Isn't that wild? I don't know, man. I just it's like
I guess I just always go back to where I'm like, if you want real productivity, you have to let people breathe.
Yeah.
That's what, like, I know people are like, no, I rule by fear. And I'm like, you would be shocked to know by ruling by mental health how much more you would get out of people.
You know who rules by fear? Dictators. And sometimes they get overthrown.
Yep.
So our son, if you can hear him in the background, he's just, he's not a fan of Amazon either. I mean, the problem with Amazon is that it's just so convenient. You kind of have to use it sometimes. That's the issue.
Yeah.
If you need a second to...
No, you're good. Keep going.
Okay. I was just, 1 second. I was going to check something. Okay, we're good. I accidentally closed the tab. Here we go. Okay. After 20 years, the U.S. finally fully withdraws from Afghanistan. Remember that chaos?
I do. I don't know how much time you want to spend on it, but here's my thoughts on it.
Please, Rachel, let us know as you get our son.
I just don't understand why it became the way that I read it, and a lot of what I was reading. It became a way for the right to then just be like, "See, Biden's an idiot," and I'm like, "Wait a minute, how is this on Biden?"
Yeah,
like to me, I guess I just don't understand. It's like these people that are very smart and talking about like why things should be a certain way. Sorry, I've got to change his diaper.
That's okay. You keep going. I'll tag in and while you change it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll edit when we do this is for the live only. I'll edit it when we do the audio post. Okay. So for you live listeners, you get to some BTS of Rachel tending to our son. So look, I mean, really to me, the person most at fault is George W. Bush and his whole administration. I mean, and it's like You know, it's very easy to Monday morning quarterback look back on like, oh, yeah, we never should have gone in there. And by the way, look at our son. Just hold him up on camera. I mean, how beautiful is this boy, right? I guess your mic is not, it's okay. I mean, but he's just, Jonah, you're making your first appearance on the podcast.
Yeah.
Jonah, what do you think about the war on terror? Oh, look at him smiling. As he's seeing himself in the TV and he's like, wow, look at that. That is so funny. I'll get back to the thing about Afghanistan in a second, but he just wants to be held, you know? But don't we all, right? Isn't that all we just need? It's kind of a metaphor for life. We just want someone to just remind us that we're taking care of. Hey, bud, you're looking at dad podcasting? This is really funny.
I'm sure it's more charming for us than the audience, but you know.
Oh, our friend John Lee Odom said he's finally waiting for a Jonah appearance. So thank you. Yeah, he'll be on off and on. But yeah, I mean, George W. Bush is really the person who, and Dick Cheney and all those monsters. And then, you know, Obama continued it. So did Trump. To his credit, even though it was a mess, Biden got us out of there. I mean,
that's how I feel. I'm like, dude, I feel like homie took a bullet. And also, we needed to be out of there. And everyone's like, see, the infrastructure, and then it fell. And it's like, yeah, because we never actually went in there for all the reasons why Bush said that we went in there.
Yeah.
It was never about helping those people.
No,
it was never, ever about that. So that was my only thing. The reason why I just didn't even engage in some of the conversations around it, and it irritated me so much, was because I'm like, making this about being like, oh, this is why Biden is a bad president. I'm like,
yeah, it's a cop out. And also, it's like a fact, like people who are like experts on this topic, we had been, because the guys, what they claim was that we're going to get bin Laden back, which I understand, right? But they had him like basically cornered like 3 weeks or like a month into being there, and we let him go. And it was just like all these different, you know, political reasons that we can't get into today. But he's happy now. What's up, bud? He's just smiling. I think, see, for the listeners only, Rachel's holding our son in his lap. He's staring at dad, and he's just, you know, hey, what's going on? This will be really funny when he's in his 20s and he's like, yeah, I used to just like hang out in the podcast studio with my parents.
Hopefully it'll be funny and he's not just like, my parents ruined me. All right, what's next?
Okay. September 13th, AOC wears her infamous tax the rich dress to the Met Gala.
Yeah. I don't know. That whole thing, you know what it proved to me is like people are waiting in the wings to attack.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Well, I do think it's also she's kind of asking for it if she wears that.
Okay, that sentence out of context is really terrible, okay?
Okay, for this specifically, not like in general. You know what I mean here.
This time she was asking for it, you know? No, I don't think it was asking for it. I think, yes, it was very clear of like she knew what she was doing. She was making like, she was wanting to make a statement. But at the same time, you know, where it was like, there's a lot of activists that I follow on Instagram, and they were like, let's also be clear of like, this was not an, like, AOC is not an activist. She wore a dress that just said tax the rich to a party and dinner amongst some of the richest people like in America.
Yeah.
So that was not like, you know, activists get arrested. They, you know, like
and
sit
also
in jail for 4 days because they're, you know.
And also apparently the woman who made the dress has like a bunch of taxes that are unpaid, and like she has a huge tax debt to the IRS that she's like been cheating on or like ducking or whatever, which is just is a bad look. This is what I will say. From my understanding of how Congress works, there's like two kinds of people in there. There's people who like actually make Congress run, like Nancy Pelosi. She's like incredibly powerful. Mitch McConnell, these people who are like legacy Congress people, they really pull the levers
They all
inside.
just look like sad animals.
They do. AOC is aware her power comes outside from being, you know, a noisemaker in the public eye. She knows what she's doing. I mean, and the funny thing is, though, seeing the even split of people who are like, you know, fanboys and fangirls of AOC. Yeah, you told them. Yeah, that's right. And the people like the Ben Shapiro side are just like, that idiot. And just like nobody learns anything.
Yeah.
We just go in circles.
I mean, the one thing that I really like about AOC is I feel like she's totally fine to take a punch.
Mm.
And I feel like that's a great representation for women and for girls of like you don't have to be liked and like to me is if you're listening to this right now and you're like, oh, I can't stand her. It's like, great, that's fine too. It's not about what she's saying, but her ability to follow what she believes in and just stick behind it and then, very eloquently go after the people that go after her,
Yeah.
I think is really badass. And I think there's not a lot of people that we don't have a ton of examples of that because even, and of course, the longer she's there, you got to play the game, right? Because you got to
Yeah.
play the game to get things done and things like that. Jonah agrees.
Yeah, he's chiming in.
But I don't know. I commend that. I think that's badass. But the dress thing was just like obnoxious. Like the news cycle, like I was just like, oh, can it be over?
Right.
Because I'm like, we're not actually learning anything here. Nothing in Congress is gonna change. So like,
Sure.
cute that you wore the dress, but like, let's move on.
But isn't that how it always goes?
Yeah, a little bit. That's why part of me is like, we have to stop. My mom just posted, I cannot see the baby. She's only watching this right now. I cannot see the baby.
Yeah. Maybe next episode we'll zoom it out a little bit so he's on camera more.
Yeah.
Maybe that's how we get people to watch live. They just get to see more of Jonah. What do you think, dude? I think he's just so in awe of all the bright lights in here.
Yeah, he loves lights.
Because he's looking around like, what is this? Yeah. Okay, 2 more.
Okay.
September 14th, California Governor Gavin Newsom beats recall effort to remain governor for at least the remainder of his term.
You know what I just realized? For the last 3 months, we've missed nothing. That's what I've realized. Like, all of these are so, like, I said, a hot plug for me. Been working on a solo show, and it's about all of the ways that we've made it too easy to not pay attention to ourselves. We've made it too easy to hate each other. We've made it too easy to care about things that have no fucking meaning. I mean, that whole thing was so ridiculous. Because the other thing was all these left wing, and everybody that called for it, that wanted it done. And then when it was done, it was like, oh, congratulations. We wasted $300 million and he's still our governor. And it was like, you asked for this. Are you kidding me? Like, it just felt like someone was like, I don't know, I really miss him though. Like, I know he was bad to me, but I miss him. And then they got him back and then they're like, oh my God, he's such an asshole. And it was like, yeah, you did this to yourself.
Yeah.
Like, that's how I feel about California. I'm like,
well, the interesting thing was when it was...
I voted for Angeline. That was my vote.
Nice.
I did. Because I was like, you know what? You guys want to play stupid? I'll play stupid.
Yeah.
This is stupid.
Well, he did beat it in a landslide. Like, it was like 65% or whatever. But what's interesting is when it was just a recall effort and there was no front runner, it was just like, get Gavin out of there. Someone will be better. He was eating it. Like, it was very clear he was going to lose. And then once Larry Elder became the face of the opposition, people were like, oh, well, this guy's out of his mind.
Yeah.
And at first, I kind of like some things Larry said, and then I heard a couple quotes from some interviews, and I was like, even for me, I'm like, all right, dude, this guy, I think it was pretty messed up the way that, like, some of the, like when the LA Times called him the blackface of white supremacy, that's ridiculous. That's disgusting, I think. But Larry has said some things that I was like, I don't know, dude, this is...
But isn't that shocking? It's shocking to me that I choose my words as wisely as I do.
Yeah.
And then there's idiots out here just saying whatever the hell they want and making our laws.
Well, he's not a...
They're in positions of power. I'm not talking about him.
Okay.
There was a president that we had for 4 years. He was the main... He's the... What is it? The chief? What is the...
Commander-in-chief.
Commander-in-chief. That was him.
You want Trump?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, think about...
Or really any of them.
I mean, Obama had a lot of policy things that I wasn't cool with, but at least he was, like, very articulate.
And a man of integrity. Like, I really...
At least on the surface, sure.
Oh, no. I would 100%...
When you look at the ways that he went after people like Edward Snowden and whistleblowers, Obama really was one of the architects of our spy state that we have now. I mean, listen, from like personal, like Family Man and like a class act, that sure, yeah, 100%.
Well, that's what I'm saying, integrity.
Yeah. Well, okay, but then he was president when that whole 2008 financial crisis hit, and basically nobody went to. And I know he's not.
Yeah, but do you think like who was bigger? Who had more power?
I'm
The
ju-
entire banking system of our global economy
Yeah.
or Obama? Yeah, right. I mean, does it suck? Do I wish that he would have tried to put up a fight? 100%. Because all he did was say, well, this is okay. I'm going to take a nap. But I wish he would have
It
done
is-
something. But also, like, that's the other thing. Like, with all of these, I'm like, you guys, like, our world is not real.
Yeah, it is interesting, and it's kind
It's
of
not
It kind
real.
of makes sense. It's really not, and you see it when like as soon as he was out of office, he's like, "Dude, I'm done with politics. I'm gonna do my podcast."
I mean, you want to talk about somebody who was tired? The only person who looks more tired than I feel right now was Obama, and like when he left the presidency.
Yeah, he was
know?
like, and also think about like him, like you fucking guys are getting Trump. I'm out, dude. I'm done with this.
I mean,
Yeah, he just wants to podcast with Bruce Springsteen and have his birthday parties and do his thing. Jonah.
You're an Obama fan, Jonah?
Yeah. Okay. Last one. Fun story. A good story. Kind of sad to get there, but it was a good ending. September 29th, Britney Spears officially freed from her conservatorship under her father, Jamie Spears.
Yes.
So you watched the whole documentary about this.
I did. I've watched a lot of things on it because I think it's real. Well, let's say she's still in this conservatorship.
Oh, okay.
It's just that Jamie is no longer on the title for it. He is no longer the conservator. So I think they're still in negotiations of figuring out, of having it lifted completely.
Jonah has
I believe.
opinions on Britney's conservatorship. You guys can see how... What do you think, bud?
And tell us, what do you think?
He's so chatty. Yeah, dude, thanks. I hope our listeners enjoy this and it's not like...
I'm sorry. If you don't enjoy baby coos, you are a psychopath.
No, I know.
I mean, I understand people who are like, I don't like kids. Like, I don't
Yeah.
like babies. I get that.
Yeah.
So our pediatrician, we took him
Yeah.
on Saturday, and she goes, well... She goes, well, you guys clearly talk to him a lot because he understands like verbal cues when
Yeah.
I'm talking to him. Like, yep.
Yeah, it's great. I'm just saying because like we get into like debates on the podcast. We have topics we want to do a deep dive on, and it's hard when this adorable little coo voice is in the background. But,
He's also not going to be here for all of them. We're just
yeah, we might.
we're figuring out how we're going to do this. I mean, it's also kind of hilarious.
It is, but it's also there will be a point where it's like Jonah, mom
Yeah,
and dad.
it's cute right now, but yeah, like
Well, we might work out a sitter situation, or
yeah, we'll figure it out. But anyway, with the Jamie Spears thing, I think it's interesting. I know a lot of people have been like, "Oh, who cares about Britney? Like, we're making this big thing." But I think that there are a lot of lessons there.
oh my god,
Of of things that like we weren't paying attention to, of just like mental health, of fame, of pressure that we put on women. When you have money, you can basically make anything happen, and it's
Well,
I
to
just think
me-
that they're go ahead.
what I was saying is, I remember I said this in the car. I was like, looking at what they did to her, and I was like, isn't it incredible that Charlie Sheen didn't get a conservator, Kanye West didn't get a conservator, other people I can't think of off the top of my head at the moment, but like, and those are men. That's a huge part of it, I'm sure. They were much older. But I wonder like how much of a factor it was that Jamie Spears was ready to pounce. And how much was it that because they were men? And I mean, I'm sure it was a combination of all of it. But, we definitely like, I think about the breakdowns that those two guys had compared to Britney's. Britney's was a lot more tame.
Well, and also now having a kid and even just trying to do anything,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, she'd been famous forever and the whole world was closing in around her and she was trying to raise two kids and going through a divorce and everybody's going after her money. The fact that all she did was shave her head and then take an umbrella to a car.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, that could have been a Wednesday, Like I don't know. And also the fact what's really makes me sad is, especially coming from, how important mental health is to me. I'm like, the fact that nobody stopped and was like, oh, we really need to help this person.
Yeah.
Like, it just became a media frenzy of like, haha, crazy person.
Right. Well, the other thing too is like I feel like if she had done the head shave now,
Yeah.
it would have been like, yeah, fight against beauty standards, go against the norms that society tells women they have to do, right?
Yeah.
But then it was like, bitch is crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it's wild. I mean, it's really, as much as we sit through and go through all these things in the last 3 months, and I'm like, yeah, see, all of society, like when people are like, isn't it a simulation though? I'm like, does it matter if it is or it isn't? It
Right.
clearly feels like it is. None of this matters. That's why it's like, you know what
Well,
matters?
especially after having a baby, you really realize.
Well, yeah, it's like, you know what really matters? Like taking care of people and being kind to people and extending your resources if you can to other people and like stepping outside of yourself and being like, none of this is real. None of this is real. And, it's like you can make all the money in the world or think that you're the greatest thing in the world or whatever. And it's like, it doesn't matter, dude. You can't take it with you. And none of this is real. And so, like, chill out.
But isn't that interesting that the more we live in a not real reality, social media, all that, right?
Yeah.
We lose sight on what is real. Like the deeper we go into the not realness, the more we care about things that aren't real.
What do you mean?
Like, we can only speculate. But if we were living in like 1840,
Right.
everything that existed in our life, like this is real. There would be no like this isn't real. It doesn't matter. Everything matters because I mean, I suppose like when you go to your like, church and gossip with your friends or whatever, that doesn't matter. But I'm just saying like, I feel like what I imagine the past was like hundreds of years ago compared to now. So many things that seem important are not important. Where back then, if something seemed important, it probably really was. Like if you lived in colonial America, the things that felt like serious problems you had to deal with probably were. It was probably a matter of life or death. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but that's what I was talking about, the solo show that I'm talking about. All the things. It's too easy. It's too easy now.
But the answer isn't to make life harder.
No, the answer is to realize that this is all not real. Take yourself out of the matrix.
What is real?
Unplug yourself. You want to know what's real is like finding your own happiness. Being able to change our system so that people can afford to buy a home. That
Amen.
people can, work and feel like they have value by something that they're doing. But they're also like can have weekends. They can, like we're creating systems where mental health is important, that we want people to be like happy and healthy. Those are the things that matter.
Yeah.
And I understand that we live in this huge society where, yeah, it's like, basically American politics is run by, the military industrial complex. I know that it's not changing, so
And
it's
the
like,
banks.
so it's like, yeah. So all of us railing against these things that are political, like take the power out of it.
Yeah.
Take your power back. None of it matters. It's not changing anyway. So stop yelling at your neighbor because they have a Trump bumper sticker,
Yeah.
Ask them if they need a hug. Like, I just feel like it's just so crazy to me that it's like everything that actually matters is right in front of our faces, but our phones are in front of it because we're not looking at anything else.
Yeah. I know. Isn't that weird? I catch myself too, where I'll be like out with people that I'm friends with, like at a comedy thing. And then I'll just start perusing Instagram to message people that I'm friends with that I'm not even there, or people that I'm not even friends with that aren't there in person. I'm like, why would I do this?
I will pat myself on the back because I was getting really, really into my phone. I've gotten much better about it.
He's helped.
Yes. I mean, a lot of it is because, like, you can't hold a baby in your phone. You can't, but that makes you a bad parent. No.
Well,
Joking. But I don't know. That's like, again, where I was like, my goal for 2022 is like, we're just going to have fun.
Yeah.
We're just going to have fun. The bills are paid. Our bellies are full. We're having fun. That's
2022, the year to do you.
Yep. Do you, boo.
Yeah.
All the rest of it's fake. You know what I
we
mean?
still have, 2.5 months left of this year.
Oh, I know. I'm going hard. I'm not having fun yet, but in 2022, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Okay. Well, I think Tucker Hobby says, well, back from our vacation, having a baby, I see. Thank you, Tucker. Okay, so let's kind of round out this first episode back.
Okay.
I will say we had a nice weekend. We saw our friends Andrew and Anastasia. They had us over.
Yeah.
So shout out if you guys are listening. I know Andrew checks the pod out. So what was really fun for me, so my buddy Andrew ordered the Tyson Fury Deontay Wilder fight, big boxing match. And, we're not super big sports people, but it was fun to watch. I think you didn't know anything about these guys, right, or the fight or anything, right? You were you got so invested so quickly.
Oh, yeah.
But the fight,
I haven't stopped thinking about it.
Well, what are your takeaways? I just think it's dope that Tyson Fury has a dad bod and he's one of the greatest athletes in the world. So it makes me feel like, all right,
Well, I feel like, yes, he's an athlete, and I'm sure he's trained. But it's really will go to
he's
show.
the heavyweight boxing champion of the world.
Because his trauma was also greater than the world. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, to me, it's that,
You have to be a superb athlete. I mean, I know it's...
Certainly. But I'm just saying that, like...
Well, it was funny. You saw him, make a face in the fight, and you're like, oh, he's crazy. He's
got squirrely eyes, for sure.
Jonah, what do you think, dude? Yeah, you felt bad for Deontay Wilder because you were like, hey, he's really trying his best.
Dude, I have never... I mean, I didn't feel bad for him, He made, millions of dollars off that fight. He'll be fine.
Let's see. Let me Google it. Watch his head by the little thing, by the way.
But at the same time, I guess to me, I was just, incredibly inspired by that man did not give up.
No, he did.
He was done in round 5, and he made it 10 rounds.
But that's the mark of a true champion.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
To me, I'm like, yeah, Tyson Fury won the fight. But to me, I'm like, who really won the fight was Wilder, for sure. I mean, that was just what are you looking up?
I'm looking up the price. So Wilder, he was guaranteed $4 million, and there would have been a 50% split, an extra million. No, that's pounds. 4 million pounds. So it's more in dollars. Okay. Anyway, he made at least $4 million. I know it's kind of. I don't want to try and read through it too quickly, but nice payday.
Yeah, he'll be fine. You know what I mean? I'm not worried about him. But I'm just saying that I don't know, as somebody who I feel like have spent a lot of time getting knocked down, getting back up, getting knocked down, getting back up. And there are times when you're down and it's like, dude, I don't know if I can do this again. Maybe it's fine. Laying down is comfortable. I will just stay here.
Right.
And I was just so impressed. I was
kept going.
I'm like that. And I'm like, that is pure will. That is grit.
I mean, he literally went until his body physically could
100%. He got knocked down 3 times, and it wasn't until the 3rd time he's like, yeah, I'm done.
I don't even think he could have gotten up if he
No.
He wasn't there.
It was lights out.
But isn't that kind of like a metaphor for just all things you have to work towards? It's like will only get you so far, and then you have to be a little bit crazy to make it that last extra step.
Well, but to me, it's also you got to do the work, right? You got to be a strong athlete. So it's you always have to put the work in. You have to have grit, and you also have to be a little cuckoo, you know? Again, only a crazy person, that's where it's where it's oh, I think I'm so sane. It's I got to be a little bit crazy to be oh, yeah, at 35, I'm still going after these dreams. I'm still doing it.
Yeah.
That's so, you know what I mean?
Sure. All right, I think we might need to start wrapping up. Jonah Gettlin is making his presence known. I think he's ready to.
But I think this was great. I feel successful. I feel like we did it, you know? And
the podcast you're saying?
Yeah, and then we'll just pick up the where we left off next week. We'll be talking about what's going on currently in the news, what's going on. We will most likely not have a baby with us. And
we're going to find someone to watch him next week?
Let's just keep it moving before he loses his mind.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, I think I'm excited. I'm excited to be back. But yeah, I feel like the way that I viewed all these stories from when we started to where we are now, I'm like, let's keep talking about them and let's keep poking holes and all the insanity. And hopefully people will be like, oh, yeah, this is kind of crazy, isn't it? Yeah. It's all kind of nuts.
I agree. Well, guys, on that, I've been Alex Gettlin.
I've been Rachel LaForce.
He has been Jonah Gettlin, you hear in the background with all the coos and the cries and everything else. We'll see you next Monday. Please like, subscribe, share. Thanks again for tuning in.
Love you. Bye.